Welcome to the Canterbury Kayaking Coast to Coast Kayak Lines video for 2024. Now, if you have not seen the river since last year's race, then I think you're going to be pretty amazed at just how much the river has changed since last year. And even in the last few weeks leading up to the race, the river has shifted around just a little bit. And I've been guiding on the Waimakariri River for 13 years now, and I figured it's worth putting up a video a couple of days before the race, just showing you all of my recommended lines down the river via video, and I'm going to walk you through everything step by step so that you have the confidence to get on the river on race day, knowing the most important lines and knowing where you need to be for hopefully a swim-free race. It's always the goal, right? So let's get into it. Now, this footage was recorded on Monday of race week, so February 5th, and the river was 72 cumecs. I do think the river will drop a little bit more before race day, so you might have to imagine just a little less water than what you see here, but I don't think the riverbed will change at all from what you're seeing here. Now, if you're not racing in Coast to Coast 2024 but would like to in the future, then on behalf of the multisport community, I'd like to offer you a warm welcome. I hope watching this video will not only help you understand the challenge that lies ahead of you, but also inspire you to take action and make this year your year to complete the Coast to Coast race. It's a big commitment, but I'm sure as most watching would agree, it's totally worth it. And on that, it's a real honour to be able to speak to all of those of you who are racing just in the couple of days before the race. Making it to the start line is a huge achievement, and I congratulate you all on that. Now, you're looking at Rock Garden 1 here. As it was last year, basically staying right is the plan, but that's just been made a little bit easier this year with the changes in the riverbed. Staying right is pretty straightforward. Now, I'm especially proud of all the incredible people I've had the pleasure of coaching towards this year's race. Remember, less than a year ago, you never kayaked on the whitewater before. The nervousness around getting on the river, that moment where you realise, oh shit, kayaking's way harder than it looks, and then achieving your Grade 2 certification, becoming confident with the river, and then, of course, conquering the gorge for the first time. Lots of moments to be really proud of, and I'm sure you're going to have an incredible time paddling all by yourself on race day. I'm definitely with you 100% on that. Now, I'm sure you just thought to yourself, here we are, Rock Garden 2, where's all the rocks? That's right, it's totally changed since last year. Just a pretty straightforward line down through some waves and then around a right-hand corner, keeping the left edge up as you make your way through the last part of the corner. It's going to help you keep your balance. This is where a portage was last year, but this year river's completely changed. Way safer, way nicer really, and a lot easier. This is Rock Garden 3, just a shallow, wide stretch of river here. I'm recommending that you look for the deepest water, and you'll find that in the middle of the river initially, and then as you're bouncing through these little waves, I'd suggest you work your way left. Finishing this rapid on the left hand side is going to help you find the deepest water, avoiding hitting any rocks that might be lurking under there as the river drops. Now, I thought it was worth including some footage here of Gooseberry at the 15-kilometre mark. I've got a sneak channel that I'm taking right now, which helps me avoid a fairly big rapid on the right there. You can see a rock in the middle of the river. It looks like you'd have to go right of the rock through the waves for a bouncy ride. And if there is enough water, I'm recommending that most people take the left-hand channel there where I am. But if it's not possible, at least I've shown you the rapid. And then this one here, Polter Bluff. This one will be interesting to a number of people who paddled the river earlier in summer, who were forced to paddle right up next to a really tight bluff wall on the right, which is just on the right-hand edge of my frame there. Now, you don't need to do that anymore. Obviously, we're taking a nice channel to the left, and so for some of you, that'll come as a relief that we don't have to negotiate that really tight, tricky bend when there's a whole lot of competitors right beside you. So thankfully, we've just got to bypass that one on the channel to the left. Easy as. I thought it was worth also including this tree here, 23 kilometers. Going left of it is really, really easy and is the safe way to go. Of course, if there are any arrows or safety crew here telling you to do anything different to that, of course follow their instructions, but wanted to give you the heads up that there is a tree there to avoid. Then we've got Esk Rock, which is our first boilie corner. The line is to start left and then work your way back towards the outside of the bend, avoiding the boilie eddy there to my left right now. So pretty straightforward line, good little warm up for the mini corners to come. Thought it was worth including that there. And then the next corner after that, the river bends back to the right for Esk Pool at 25 kilometers. You want to be in the right hand channel. You can see lots of water going way out left. No need to be out there. You're only making your life harder and probably the race slower too. So right hand channel is the place to be. Starting right and then trying to follow the flow around to the outside, avoiding the eddy, keeping the left edge up as you get closer to the rock will help you keep your balance. Now I'd like to give a shout out to one of our video sponsors, River Ninja Kayak Rentals. If you're in need of a kayak to get started with your training, maybe you're not in a position to buy a boat just yet, or perhaps you want to try some different models, maybe you're a travelling athlete who can't fit your boat in the overhead locker on the plane, then get in touch with Todd at River Ninja. I'm sure he'll help you out with a boat, get that sorted for you for your kayak training around the Canterbury area. Now you're looking at Esk Bend. This one here, you're going to really need to drive the boat left to stay out of the big waves on the right. It probably looks easier than it is. I'm paddling pretty hard because the river wants to bring you to where all the water's going, obviously. So you're needing to work fairly hard if you'd like to experience the easiest line down the left-hand side. And staying left is a great option. You might think, why am I so far left? But it sets you up really nicely through the second half of the bend here. See, I'm now able to easily avoid all the big waves in the middle of the river. And so being left is the way to go. Of course, you can't stay left forever because at the very bottom of the corner, you can see there's these 3 rocks on the left sticking out there now. So I'm just moving back to the middle of the river, avoiding those 3 rocks there on the left at the end. A little bit further on into the gorge, 27.5 kilometres ish, you've got Hamilton Hut, which confusingly is nowhere near Hamilton Rapid. But you can see the hut there up on top of the cliff. Be a beautiful place to have a cup of tea and watch coast to coast competitors come by. And hopefully watching them cut through this corner, hitting the boil with the left edge up there. See the boat getting pushed to the right? Expect that. And making sure you have your left edge up will keep you balanced. Salmon Rapid, one of the more difficult wave trains. Drive the boat to the right side of the waves and then try and hold it straight. Hot tip, keep the right edge of the boat lifted if you're managing to achieve the line I'm on, because nearly always when I see people flip there, it's to the right. If you can keep that right edge up, then you'll be a lot more balanced through that rapid. Drop rock, big rock in the middle of the river at 30 kilometres. Avoid the rock to the left. Don't need to be hard left. Remember, we just need to not hit the rock. Being further left isn't helpful. So just making sure that we do have the power on there and we avoid that rock to the left. After that, you're welcome to stay left and essentially hugging the corner to come. Staying on the left side all the way around the bend is going to give you the most conservative line without cutting off too much speed. You can just hug that left side and avoid most things. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button, so to go ahead and do that now. And while you're at it, subscribe to the Canterbury Kayaking YouTube channel and hit the bell icon, and that'll notify you whenever I release another video with helpful information like this. Had to include some footage of Carrington Gorge, absolutely spectacular. Take a deep breath here, and you're doing really well to have made it here. So make sure you enjoy these moments of beauty. S-bend, right edge up through the buoy, counter rudder, which means the right rudder is applied as you're turning left. Quite a confusing concept, but if you can pull it off and counter steer through the corner, then it'll set you up to avoid all that boily water on the left really easily. If you've got no idea what I'm on about, then maybe next year come and do a course with Canterbury Kayaking, and we'll explain it in depth and help you avoid getting spun out in those boily eddies. Now we're coming into Hamilton Rapids, and there's two ways you can do this. The most classic common line is to go down the left hand side. You're basically looking for the less bouncy option here, trying to stay as close to the left hand bank as you can without running into rocks basically. And if you can do that, then you'll be rewarded with a much easier, less bouncy line down the left hand side of the waves. The only downside is you have to then battle your way through this swirly boily stuff at the very bottom of the rapids, so make sure you don't switch off at the end there when you think you've nearly made it. I'm going to back paddle back up the rapid quickly and show you an alternative line for those that are a little bit more confident or want to come away with a much better photo from the race, because there'll be photographers here, and this is your opportunity to send it down the middle of the wave train for that awesome photo to hang on the wall. Now, heading to the middle and then essentially sending it straight down the guts requires a bit more bravery, a bit more confidence, and much better balance. Just see I'm having to work a little bit harder to keep my boat on balance and keep it under control. But it's one of the most fun things to do on the river, so if you're game, send it down the middle. Vortex Mega Howler from last year, this is completely changed, and you'll see it's no longer in play at all, so nothing to do there except go down the middle past where it used to be. Immediately after that though, about 35.1 kilometres, you've got Sticky Outy Rock, and you can see that on the right bank there sticking out across the river. If you head towards Sticky Outy Rock, then that'll direct you into this channel on the right, helping you set yourself up here for Bluff Bluff on the right hand side of the river. So head towards Sticky Outy Rock, and now it's really easy to stay to the right of the coming wave train, which I'm just coming into now. So staying right past the bigger waves on river left, and then once you feel like you are past the bigger waves, you can start moving back to the centre of the river for a line through Bluff Bluff. Now, many of you will also remember Bluff Bluff as being quite difficult at the start of the summer, but that's tamed down a lot. The river's cleaned itself up, and now most of the water flows through this first bluff and past the second bluff really nicely. So just looking to hold yourself in the middle of the river, and then staying slightly further to the right on the second bend here. See the water is no longer flowing towards Big Rock on the left there. It's just flowing right past, so nothing to be worried about anymore. As many of you now know, my wife and I are expecting a baby any day now, so if you don't see me at the race itself this year, I sincerely apologise. But there's nothing more important to me than my family, so that's where I'll be. If not at the race, I'll be at the hospital doing our own longest day, and I'm planning on spending a month with them over after the Coast to Coast, and then we'll be back into Grade 2 certificate courses starting in March 2024. So if you're thinking about doing the Coast to Coast in the future, I mean, let's face it, you're not going to be able to do that without a Grade 2 certificate. So the first thing you'll want to do, even before you've got your race entry confirmed, is get yourself booked onto a Grade 2 kayak course with Canterbury Kayaking. I'll put a link in the video description for those of you that are interested. You can learn about Canterbury Kayaking's Grade 2 kayak course, which I believe is the best in the country. So get your dates booked on one of those as soon as possible. 39 kilometres just past Walker Hut, you've got Wu-Tang Slam. The plan here is to try and stay left-ish. The water will want to pull you to the right, but if you can hang out just to the left of the waves, then it just makes your life easier at the second part of the bend, which I'm just coming into now. If you can be left of these waves, then you've done all the work and you don't need to work so hard. You can just be to the left of the wave slightly for a much easier, more conservative line. So worth putting in the effort to get left early on Wu-Tang Slam. Once you see Staircase Viaduct, the big iron bridge on the right, you know you're about 43 kilometres. And you've done a lot of the tricky stuff. Except for this new one, which has just popped up in the last couple of weeks. Kinbrooks Bluff. Big boily eddy, boily bluff corner to get round. So a lot of the time we've been just playing it safe and cutting through the eddy, but you're still going to encounter this big boil, which means keeping that left edge up as you meet the boil to maintain your balance. Applying that left rudder will help you stop getting spun out into the eddy. I thought it was worth back paddling up this one and going again to show you the other line option, which I actually like a little bit better. If you've got the bravery and can anticipate the corner well, then there's actually a brilliant line around behind the boil, which is a little bit more efficient. You just got to thread the needle through between the rock and the big boil. Not easy, but as some of you will see that and think, yep, I'm all over that. The line is definitely there to go around behind the boil if you prefer. Carnage Corner. The plan here is to just hold yourself on the right side of the main channel. You can see there I'm actually having to work fairly hard to keep myself right of the waves. I think if you came into that a little bit too casually, you'd end up right in those bouncy waves, which is safe, but you just have to work a little bit harder and have a little bit more excitement going on. So if you can work hard to stay right at the top of that channel coming into Carnage Corner, then you're going to have an easier time on the exit there. Once you get to this point, all the work's done and you can just paddle out the bottom. Carnage Corner itself is not really producing much at all. Deerprint Cove, 51 kilometres. Again, this one was really tricky corner only a few weeks ago, and in the recent floods has cleaned up a lot. Now the water runs right past Deerprint Bluff really smoothly. No more boily eddy, just cruise past the bluff. It is worth getting to the right hand side of the river for the second bluff. There's really no need to be out on the left here. You're just essentially taking on more risk than you need for minimal gain. So hang out on the right as you come around this right hand bend after Deerprint Cove. Then we've got Otarama Rock. Look down river on river left. There's a rock sticking out of the water. Pretty easy to avoid the rock on the right, but deserves a little respect. Probably not the time to get the muesli bar out. Paddle past Otarama Rock before you do that. You don't really want to mess with the rock itself, but easily avoided on the right. I thought it was also worth just showing you the next corner after Otarama Rock, where the river bends left. Looks really benign, but what might be a bit hard to spot to the untrained eye is a lot of that water is falling away to the right. And if you're just floating through here casually, you can end up quite close to the wall on the right, and from there life's going to be a lot harder. And we've just had a few people fall victim to that and end up too close to the rock and getting muddled up against the rock there on the right. So really easy just to get left ahead of time there and avoid a problem. And now we are at Woodstock. So I'm going to leave the last 15Ks as a surprise. So have fun with the last 15Ks of braids. Remember to look after each other out there and enjoy the experience. Good luck at Coast to Coast 2024. I'm sure after watching this video a few times, you're going to do absolutely great on the river. Make sure you enjoy it.